If you have a Yamaha PW50 and your handlebars are mangled, maybe you have some bent levers or even a broken throttle tube, there's no reason to keep riding your bike like that. These parts are super cheap and they're easy to replace. Now, replacing this stuff is going to be the same process for all the PW50s, so let's get started. To get this done, you're going to need an 8 and 12 millimeter socket. We also have a couple screwdrivers, a pick, knife, and we always have some grip glue laying around the shop along with contact cleaner. We're going to be using that stuff along with a little bit of masking tape. We also have safety glasses, rubber gloves, and some rags. For parts, we have several options on our website, or you can just click the link in the description below. But these handlebars and grips are from Tusk, along with these levers. Or if you want to get a little more colorful, ODI makes these grips. And then other than that, we're just using some waterproof grease. And if you want to lube up your cables, this is a good time to do it. We're going to start with the brake levers. All you need to do, we've got an 8 millimeter socket on the bottom, number 3 Phillips on top. We're going to loosen this up and remove the bolt. The lever is just going to swing out like that. We've got this cutout in the front, so if I pull straight up on this, it'll come right off. I'm just going to slide the cable out from the bar. And the thing that's unique about these handlebars is they have the perch built right in. And again, that Tusk replacement option is an affordable way to get these replaced. And we'll do the same thing for the front brake lever. I'm going to pull back the rubber cover on the throttle cable. We're going to undo this housing. We've got 2 Phillips screws on the bottom side. So with everything loosened up, you can see we have all this play in the throttle cable. If you don't, you can loosen up this jam nut and spin the adjuster in so you have more play. But since we already have it, all we're going to do is pull up on the housing, and then the cable just slides out the side of the throttle tube, just like that. Then we'll pull the throttle housing off. And then this throttle tube slides right off. Now we have the bar pad cover. It's just held on by 2 straps. Now on the bottom side of the handlebar, we're going to use a 12 millimeter socket to remove the nut on both sides. And we'll remove the bars. And since we're in here, we're lubing up our cables for the brakes. You're going to have to back off the adjusters if you do this. And for the throttle one, if you do end up doing that, you want to make sure it's disconnected from the carburetor just so you don't pump that full of lube. Now we can set the handlebars in place and reinstall the washers and nuts on the bottom side and tighten them down. So with these bikes, you want to inspect the tubes. A lot of times they get cracked down towards this end. So if it's broken, definitely replace it. And those Tusk grips, they come with the tube already in there. So it's a really nice feature, but again, we're trying to go a little more colorful on this bike. So I'm just going to cut this one off. And then it's a good idea to clean this off as well. So you can just use your rag. I'm also using a little compressed air on the inside to get all that dust out of there. So there's a little burr on the end of these bars. I just used some emery cloth to clean that off. And then we can assemble the throttle housing. And I'm waiting to put the grips on till the last because I don't want to get them dirty. So we've got the throttle cable going into here. Again, if you need more slack, loosen up the adjuster. And I'm using my pick so I can get a hold of that throttle cable, slide that into the tube. And you can put grease on this stuff, but I tend to not, just because dirt can make its way in and then it kind of gets a little grimy. So I just run them dry. And before you tighten it all the way down, what you want to do is go all the way in with the tube, and then you're going to back it off about 1/8 of an inch. And that's just going to give you some play in the throttle tube so it doesn't hang up. Push the cover back on. And I've got this vent line for the gas cap. I'll put that back on. I've got our handlebar pad. So I'm going to put the straps underneath first. Now I'm going to clean up this pivot bolt, and you also want to clean up this perch right here on the end of the throttle housing. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of grease, put it on that pivot. Okay, now I'm going to put the brake cable back into place, and it's a good idea to put just a little bit of grease right here on the end. Turn the lever sideways. Again, you've got the cutout for the cable. And we can set the lever in position, put the bolt through, and we'll tighten the nut on the bottom side. Okay, now that we have both levers on, you want to do two things. Number one, you want to check your cable routing, make sure it's just like we have ours. So throttle cable in the very front, we've got the front brake cable in the middle, and then the rear cable is in the back. So if you have that correct, next thing you want to do is make sure you can turn the bars lock to lock and none of the cables bind up. You want to make sure there's free play in the throttle cable. And if you need to know more about adjusting this, we've got a separate video with that and the oil pump. But again, you have your adjuster right here. The last thing we need to do on here is adjust our brakes, and then I'm going to install the grips. To install the grips, I'm doing one final cleaning with some contact cleaner. And then on the throttle side, I want to cover up that hole so no glue goes down in there. So I've got some masking tape. I'm just going to cut a little piece right there. And then you've got two different grips. So one's going to be really thin and one's going to be thicker. The thicker side is for the left-hand side of the bike. Thinner side's for the throttle tube. So we're going to start with the thinner one. And one little tip, just to help some of that air escape as we put that on, I'm cutting the end of the grip. And I'm taking the grip glue. You just want to put a ring of that in here and let it drag down as you press this in place. So I have a little too much glue in here, but it's just going to push out the end, so we'll wipe it up. But this should just push on. And you want to line up the waffle with the bottom side. And we'll do those same steps on the other side, except we don't need any tape. So that's a little more reasonable with the amount of glue there. We'll push this on. We'll try to match up that bottom waffle, have it about the same level as that other side. And from here, you just want to make sure you have a little bit of throttle free play. If you have some, you're good to go. If it's too tight or too loose, again, make your adjustment. So that's all it takes to replace these bent or broken parts on your PW50. It's really simple to do. And again, the parts are inexpensive. So if you need those, click the link in the description below or just go to our website. Now, if you have any questions, leave those down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. I'm Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Thanks for watching.